Retired Rider. Hope you're all doing well today. Well, we went on our trip. It was just a 2-day trip down to Red River Gorge and to the Natural Bridge area. We did, as you guys know, have the bike in the shop to have the fork upgrade done and the new tires put on. And I wasn't sure at first how I liked it. We did have the bike loaded down a lot. The trunk was full. Both saddlebags were full. You could barely shut the trunk. You could barely shut the saddlebags. And we did have the bike full, so it just felt really top heavy to me. And it was, like I said, it was really loaded down. The ride down, it was fine. It just felt a little different. It felt weird. And once we got down there, we got to the hotel. We unloaded everything that we needed to unload out of the bike, and it felt better. I wasn't sure riding down if I thought, well, is this any better, or is it, you know, what's the deal here, the tires and all that. But as we got riding more and more down in the mountains down in there, it really started to ride better. You'll see in the video, if you watch the video, if you guys watched the video, if you didn't, go back and watch it, you'll see where I say, well, I'm not sure about it. But as we got riding more and more, I realized it was definitely a better ride, especially when we got that top heaviness out of the bike when we unloaded it. Now, the fork upgrade it's basically got a spring on one side and the cartridges on the other side with valves. So it doesn't have springs in both forks. You got your bounce back and your, you know, I really don't know how to explain it, but basically that's it. It just has a spring in one and valve cartridge in the other. So, you know, it does pretty good. I ain't gonna lie. Like I said, I wasn't really sure about it at first, but I think that had a lot to do with the bike was so weighed down. I mean, we had, like I said, we had it packed plumb full. And then when we got down there and got it, you know, emptied out, it did pretty good. Now the tires I'm really impressed with, excuse me, the Metzler tires. They ride really well. I was impressed with those. So overall, I'd say we've really improved the bike. We really improved the suspension and the ride of the bike. Really, at this point, I have no complaints about it, and I can definitely tell a difference in the bike and how it rides, how it takes the bumps, how it just goes over everything. It's more of a smoother ride. Now, we did have to adjust the air shocks a couple of times. We had to adjust the air shocks when we had it loaded down, and then when we took everything out, when we got down there to go on our rides down there, we had to adjust the air shocks again. And once we got that down and got it right where it needed to be, everything was great. Everything was great. It was actually a really good trip for a 2-day trip. Like I said, if you haven't watched that video, go back and watch it. It's a good video, I think, and you know, we just had a good time. I didn't video a whole lot. I think that video is about 30 minutes long. I think I titled it "Lost in the Gorge." I think that's what I titled it. But anyway, check it out. It was pretty good. Like I said, I didn't want to record too much of it. I didn't want to video too much of it because I didn't want a video that lasted an hour. I know people really don't want to have time to sit and watch a video for an hour, or really just, some people just don't have the patience. I get that. I respect that. So some I jump on and I'm like, you know, I'm in 10 minutes, 20 minutes. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I jump off. So I totally understand that. So it's about a half hour. I didn't want it to really run that long, but it just happened to where I had to put enough stuff in it to where you guys would kind of get the gist of what we were doing and where we were at. So it kind of went a little longer than I wanted it to, but it's still a good video. We did go on the sky lift down there to the Natural Bridge, and as we was going up to the sky lift, as we was going up the mountain there, we noticed that, you know, that it was on fire, and it almost looked like a controlled burn where they were like burned brush. And I thought, you know, maybe not. You'll hear us talk on that video. We probably sound like idiots, but you hear us talk on that video. Well, maybe it's a controlled burn, or maybe it's not. But I thought, man, a controlled burn. You don't want to light the forest up, whether it's a controlled burn or not. You really just don't want to do that. That could get totally out of control. When we got to the top and talked to one of the young guys up there operating the sky lift, he said, yeah, it was arson. So we made our way back down, and then we talked to the older gentleman down at the bottom. He said, yeah, it was arson. They did it one evening, and it said it took like 100 firemen just to get that fire out, and they did an excellent job. I mean, it didn't spread that far at all. It did go up in a line up the mountain and up to the top, but it didn't go further down into the forest. So they did an excellent job keeping that under control. Why anybody would want to set a fire in a beautiful place like that, or any place at all, is beyond me. I don't understand people, you know, even kids. I mean, that's just stupid. Stupid. Why would you do that? You could cause so much harm to the animals, to the just the ecosystem, natural air. Just you could do just so much harm, and it's like, why? Why would you do that? I really don't understand people. But anyway, back to telling you guys how I feel about the fork upgrade. Yeah, I'm impressed with it. I think it's going to do really well. Like I said, once we got all that weight out of there, it really felt even better. A bike's going to ride. You guys know this. A bike's definitely going to ride different, you know, depending on how much weight you have in it. You know, it's definitely going to affect the ride. So I think I was thinking, you know, I'm going to load this bike down on this new, you know, suspension and be just at first and just be absolutely perfect. And it was, but I was thinking, well, this ain't as good as it could be. But then as we were riding along and as time went on, I'm like realizing, you know, there's a lot of weight in this bike. So it's definitely going to ride different. So like I said, once we got the weight out of it and we're riding up in the mountains, did a real good job. You'll see in that video where I complained a lot about rattle. And I've went around and I tightened up all the, I've told you guys this about this rattle before. I went around and I tightened up everything around the bike, the heat shields and everything, because that's what it sounded like. And still there. You could hear it in that video. You could hear it if you listen, you'll hear it. And it's still there. So we got back to the hotel later on that day, and I'm just tapping around. I noticed as it bends underneath the bike and comes out the other side, I noticed that there's part of the heat shield that comes around the pipe, and it just kind of was loose right here. And I thought, I wonder if that, when it's under load or under, you know, when the motor's running, if that's just not tingling back and forth. And I couldn't get it to make the sound by hitting it, but I decided, well, there was a Advanced Auto not far from our hotel. I said, we ought to stop there, grab a clamp real quick, just, you know, heater hose clamp it around there just enough to see if that's making a noise. And lo and behold, there it was. So we did find that noise, thank God, because it was driving me batshit crazy. I do not like to hear any noise on my motorcycle. I don't like to hear any clunks and rattles or anything like that. It will drive me insane. And I'm like that with my cars too. So, in my truck, I don't like to hear any noise. It drives me nuts. So we got rid of that noise, thank God, and that's taken care of. So I think we're pretty much done with what we want to do to the Road King. I would like to get a better seat. Not that there's anything, the seat ain't horrible, but I would like to get a better seat. And I think once we do that, I think we pretty much got her where we want her. So, and that's a good thing, because I've got a lot of money stuck in this bike, and I don't want to keep putting too much money in it. But, you know, you got to have your bike where you want it, where you're comfortable. You know, especially if you're taking long trips, going on long trips, you want to have it safe, and you want to have that, you know, suspension feeling really good, so it's better on your, you know, body. It's just better overall. And you definitely want a good seat because it's better on your back, just better on your posture, better on everything. So that might be our next investment for maybe next year. And I still have in the back of my mind, it's still back there to do the engine upgrade, to go from the 107 to 114. I got my guy, he's ready to go on it this winter if I want it done, but it's, you know, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. We're on the highway. We're cruising between 70, 80 on the way down, and it, you know, the bike had plenty of power when I needed to pass somebody. The bike had plenty of power for a 107. It does great. You guys know it's only been tuned with, put on the dyno and been tuned, and has the Trudel exhaust, but it did great. No issues whatsoever. It's never gave me an issue. On the way back, I might have got a little froggy. We were still loaded down, of course, but I was cruising probably anywhere from 80 to 90, a few times upwards to 100 miles an hour on the way back. So, and it did great, has plenty of power. But I still have in the back of my mind where I might still do that engine upgrade. I still ain't really there yet, whether I'm going to commit to it or not, but we'll see what happens come the fall. Anyway, that's my review of the how the suspension did, how the tires did. The Metzler tires, like I said, did great. So I'm impressed with everything, and I'm happy. And that's that's a good thing. It's an improvement. When you can improve your bike, improve your suspension, that's always a good thing. Anyway, you guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Take care now.